I never thought I'd be that guy. The one who gets blindsided by the person he trusted most, especially not right before the wedding. My name's David, and I was with Emily for about 6 years. We were that couple everyone thought was perfect. Things weren't completely perfect, but I'd never imagined she'd do something like this. Honestly, I started noticing little things a few weeks before the wedding. She was more secretive with her phone, brushing off my questions, acting jittery when I tried to talk about the future. I thought maybe she was just stressed. I mean, planning a wedding is supposed to be stressful, right? But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. We had our bachelor and bachelorette parties about a month before the wedding. My best man was Mark. He's been my best friend since high school. I trusted him. Emily trusted him. I thought everyone trusted him. But that's where everything started to unravel. The night of his bachelor party, I wasn't there. I had to work late and Emily went to her bachelorette bash with her friends. But I wasn't worried. I figured they'd all have a good time, maybe some drinks, some dancing. Whatever. I was trying to focus on work, but I kept getting these weird, nagging feelings. Nothing concrete, just a gut feeling that something was wrong, that I wasn't seeing the full picture. Then I started noticing stuff after the wedding. Emily's phone suddenly had a password she never used before. She was brushing past my questions about her plans for the honeymoon, saying she wanted it to be a surprise. But she was acting weird, always texting, hiding her phone more than usual. Honestly, I thought maybe she was planning something special. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but I felt a knot tightening in my stomach. I started paying more attention, which I know is probably obsessive, but I had this feeling that I'd missed something. Then one night I came home early from work because I wasn't feeling great, and I saw her phone on the table, unlocked, with a message from someone named Mike. The message was just a quick, "Can't wait to see you tonight," and a smiley face. That was it. No context, no warning. My heart stopped. I stared at the screen, trying to convince myself it was some kind of joke or mix-up, but I just knew. My wife had been cheating on me. And not just with anyone, she was sleeping with my best man, Mark. The same guy I confided in, trusted with my secrets, invited to stand beside me when I promised to love and cherish Emily forever. That's when everything shattered. I sat there, staring at her phone, feeling cold and numb all at once. How long had this been going on? Was this why she'd been acting so distant? Why she'd been lying about her whereabouts in her phone? My mind raced. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut and I didn't know how I was going to face her when she got home. The worst part, I didn't even want to confront her that night. I was too stunned. I just sat there, hands trembling, trying to process what I'd seen. But I knew I couldn't pretend I hadn't seen it. I had to face her and I had to find out the truth. That's when the real nightmare began. The next morning I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a train. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. All I could think about was that message, that betrayal. Emily had always been a little bitchy, with her bitchy smirk and her sharp tongue, but I never thought she'd be capable of this level of betrayal. Still, I remembered the way she'd been acting lately, more distant, more secretive, like she was hiding something. Now I knew what it was. She'd been lying, cheating, sneaking around. And Mark, my own best man, was apparently her favorite partner in crime. I waited until she was home from work. When she walked in the door, I could see the annoyance in her eyes, that little sass she always had when she was annoyed. But today there was something else, something darker, more defensive. I looked at her and just blurted out, "Who is Mike? And why does his name keep popping up in your phone?" Her eyes widened for a split second, like I'd punched her, and then she rolled her eyes, scoffing almost. "Oh, really? You're gonna accuse me of cheating just because I have a guy's name on my phone? Maybe you're the one who's been snooping too much." I lost my temper. "Don't lie to me, Emily. I saw the message. It's clear you've been sleeping around. And Mark, my best man, seriously, how long has this been going on? During the bachelor party? During the last few weeks? Tell me the truth." She looked at me with that bitchy little smirk, crossing her arms. "Wow, you're really dramatic, huh? So what if I've been talking to someone? It doesn't mean anything. I was just being friendly, nothing more. And Mark, yeah, we've been talking, but it's not like I cheated. You're overthinking everything as usual." That's when I saw the lies start to pour out of her, slick and confident. She spun some bullshit about how I was paranoid, how I didn't trust her, how I was accusing her for no reason. She even tried to make it sound like I was the one at fault for suspecting her, like I was some jealous psycho. But I knew better. I knew I wasn't imagining it. The evidence was right there on her phone. She was lying, and she was trying to turn it around on me. I felt a surge of anger and sadness all at once. How could she do this? How could she betray me like this during the last stretch before our wedding? I'd always thought she was the one, that we would build a life together. But now everything was falling apart. I wanted to scream at her, call her a cheating bitch, tell her how much she'd hurt me, but I kept my cool. For now. Because I knew this was just the beginning of something much worse. I had to think, plan, figure out what to do next, but one thing was certain. Nothing would be the same after this. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the confrontation in my head, trying to piece together exactly how long she had been lying to my face, how long she'd been sneaking around with Mark. The pain was a dull ache, growing into a deep, gnawing everything: anger, betrayal, sadness. I wanted to believe she was lying, that maybe it was all some terrible misunderstanding, but deep down I knew the truth. She was a liar, a cheat. A woman who'd been screwing my best man right under my nose during the bachelor party, during the days leading up to our wedding. I started digging through her social media, her texts, her emails. I needed to be sure. I found more messages between her and Mark, flirty, suggestive, and outright explicit sometimes. They'd been talking about meeting up, about sex, about how much they wanted to be together. I felt sick, not just because she cheated, but because she'd lied so convincingly, so effortlessly. My trust was gone. All the little signs, the secretive phone, the late nights, the strange attitude, were right there in front of me now. I couldn't deny it anymore. The next few days were a blur. I started to withdraw from everyone, friends, family, even Emily. I wasn't sure what I was feeling anymore. Part of me wanted to scream at her, break everything in sight. The other part just wanted to crawl into a hole and disappear. I kept asking myself, how did it come to this? How did I miss all the signs? And worst of all, how could she lie so effortlessly? She was always the bitchy one, quick with a sarcastic remark, but I never thought she'd be capable of this level of deception. That's what cut the deepest: the betrayal from someone I loved, trusted, and thought loved me back. I decided I had to confront her again, this time not to argue but to get answers. I couldn't pretend anymore that everything was fine, so I set up a meeting, told her I wanted to talk. When she showed up, she was already defensive, her eyes flickering with that familiar bitchy glare. I didn't hold back. I told her I knew everything, that I'd seen the messages, the evidence, the lies. I asked her point blank, how long has this been going on? Were you just planning to sneak around until the wedding, or did you want to hurt me all along? She scoffed, rolling her eyes. You're overreacting as usual. It's not like I did anything serious. It's just sex, okay? Just some fun. Mark and I aren't actually in love or anything. Her tone was dismissive, almost contemptuous, like she didn't see how much she'd shattered me. I felt my fists clench. I wanted to scream at her, to shake her for her lies, but I held back. I just stared at her, feeling the weight of her words settle deep into my bones. The woman I thought I knew was gone, replaced by this bitch who thought she could lie and cheat her way out of everything. That's when I realized I couldn't keep pretending. I knew I had to make a choice. Either I stayed and let her continue to lie and betray me, or I took control, faced the truth, and did something about it. I wasn't sure what the right answer was yet, but I knew I'd never be able to trust her again, not after everything. The wedding was just a few days away, but it felt like the whole thing was already over. I was already planning my next move, one that involved nothing less than full-on revenge. The days that followed felt like walking through a fog. Every moment was filled with a strange mix of anger, grief, and a sick sense of clarity. I couldn't believe she had been lying all this time, that she'd been sleeping with Mark during the bachelor party, right before our wedding. It was like the floor had been ripped out from under my feet, and I was left trying to hold onto some semblance of normalcy. But honestly, I didn't even know what normal looked like anymore. I started planning. I knew I had to do something, something that would make her realize she couldn't get away with this. I wasn't the kind of guy who'd run to the cops or cause a scene, but I wanted revenge. Not just for the betrayal, but for the way she'd lied, manipulated, and made a fool out of me. I started collecting evidence, screenshots of the messages, recordings of our conversations, even some photos I managed to sneak when she wasn't paying attention. I wanted her to understand that I had everything on her. She thought she was so clever, so manipulative, but I was already one step ahead. One night I decided to confront her again, this time to give her a taste of what she'd done. I told her I knew everything about the affair, the lies, the sneaking around. I told her I was done, that I wasn't going to be a part of her game anymore. Her reaction was pure bitchy arrogance. She rolled her eyes, scoffing, and said, "Oh, stop being such a drama queen. You're overreacting because you're insecure. Mark and I, it's not a big deal. We're just having fun. You're the one who's jealous and paranoid like always." Her words cut like knives. She was so convinced of her own lies, so dismissive of how much she'd hurt me. I decided it was time to take action. I knew I couldn't trust her anymore, and I certainly couldn't keep pretending everything was okay. I made a plan to expose her at the right moment. I wanted her to see the damage she'd done, how her lies and her cheating had destroyed what was supposed to be our future. I started talking to some friends, trusted people, to see how I could make her realize she'd crossed a line. I wanted her to feel the full weight of her betrayal. Meanwhile, she was still acting like she was the victim. I could see the bitchy smirk on her face when she thought I wasn't paying attention. She tried to spin her lies, make herself look innocent, but I wasn't buying it anymore. Every day, I felt more like a stranger in my own life, knowing the woman I loved had been sleeping around with my best friend during what should have been the happiest time of my life. The wedding was only days away, but honestly, I didn't see myself walking down that aisle. Not with her, not after this. It was coming to a head, and I knew I had to decide what to do next. Either I let her continue to lie and manipulate, or I took control and did something that would send a message. I wasn't sure what that was yet, but I knew I wouldn't let her get away with this without consequences. I was angry, yes, but I also felt a strange sense of liberation. Like, finally, I was seeing the truth clearly. Whatever happened next, I was determined to make damn sure she paid for what she did. The day of the wedding was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. Instead, it felt like a sick joke. I woke up that morning with a knot in my stomach, knowing that everything I'd uncovered, everything I'd planned was about to come to a head. I kept thinking about how Emily had lied to me for so long, how she had betrayed the trust I thought was unbreakable. And Mark, my best man, was right there, probably still imagining how he was going to sneak away with her after the ceremony. The thought made my blood boil. I decided I couldn't go through with it, not anymore. I couldn't marry someone who'd lied so blatantly, who'd slept with my best friend during what should have been our happiest moments. I spent hours trying to come up with a way to expose her, to make her face the consequences of her actions. I had all the evidence, the messages, the photos, the recordings, and I knew exactly when and how I was going to do it. I wanted her to see that I knew everything, that there was no way she could spin her way out of it anymore. So I made a decision. I called off the wedding. I told her I couldn't go through with it, that I didn't want to marry someone so dishonest and manipulative. Her face twisted into that bitchy smirk again, like she thought I was just overreacting, like I was the one making a scene. She tried to argue, to make excuses, but I didn't listen. I knew the truth, and I wasn't going to pretend it didn't exist. I stormed out of the house, leaving her standing there in her white dress, her perfect little wedding fantasy shattered. I went straight to my friends, trusted allies who had always been there for me. I showed them everything, messages, the photos, and told them I was done. Done with her lies, done with her cheating, done with pretending everything was okay. I knew I couldn't let her get away with it, not without consequences. The plan was simple. I was going to tell everyone, the family, her friends, the guests, what she'd done. I wanted her to know that her betrayal wasn't going to be swept under the rug. As I sat there, surrounded by people I trusted, I felt a strange mixture of relief and heartbreak. I'd lost my fiancé, yes, but I also gained clarity. I realized that I deserved someone honest, someone who wouldn't lie to my face or screw my best friend behind my back. Emily was a bitchy, manipulative woman who thought she could get away with everything, but I wasn't going to let her. I took control of the situation, and I made sure everyone knew the truth. In the days that followed, I finally started to feel a little lighter. The betrayal still hurt like hell, but I knew I was better off without her. I learned that trust is fragile and that sometimes you have to face the truth head-on, no matter how painful. I still miss the person I thought she was, but I also know I've grown stronger from this. And honestly, I don't regret what I did. She played her hand, and I made it clear I wasn't going to be a pawn in her game anymore. What I've learned: never ignore the signs, trust your gut, and never let someone cheat and lie their way into breaking you. Now, looking back, I realize that losing Emily was one of the most painful experiences I've ever gone through, but it also was a wake-up call. I thought I knew her, believed in the fairy tale we were building. Turns out she was nothing like the person I thought she was: bitchy, manipulative, a liar. The worst part: I let myself be blind to the signs for too long. I trusted her blindly, and that trust was used against me. I learned the hard way that betrayal cuts deep, but it also forces you to confront the truth about yourself and the people around you. I used to be naive, thinking love and trust could conquer all. Now I see it's about honesty, about accountability, even when the truth hurts. I've come out of this a lot stronger, though I won't pretend it doesn't leave scars. Those scars are reminders of what I went through, lessons I won't forget. I've started focusing on myself again, rebuilding my confidence and healing the wounds that betrayal left behind. I'm still cautious now, more guarded, but I'm also more aware. No more ignoring the red flags, no more turning a blind eye to what I don't want to see. Because I learned that if someone is cheating and lying that blatantly, they're not worth the heartbreak. And for anyone out there who's going through something similar, trust me, you're not alone. It might hurt like hell at first, but eventually, you'll see that standing up for yourself and facing the truth is the only way to truly move on. Don't let anyone manipulate or cheat their way into your life and then expect you to pretend everything's okay. Because honesty, respect, and loyalty, those are the real foundations of any relationship. And if they're broken, it's better to walk away and find someone who actually values you. So that's where I am now. I'm still healing, still learning, but I know one thing for sure: I'll never let someone lie to me like that again. I won't be caught off guard next time. Trust is precious, and I've learned to protect it. Because at the end of the day, I deserve someone who's honest, loyal, and not a bitchy, manipulative liar. And I'm finally starting to believe I'll find her.